everyone, Lou here. Many of you loved my obscure Vocaloids video, and I still get comments today asking for more I should have talked about. So that's what I'm doing today. This is more obscure Vocaloids. So by obscure Vocaloids, I do mean obscure. Just because Gakupo, Una, and Yuzuku Yukari don't have merch at Hot Topic like Miku and Gumi doesn't mean they're not popular. I mean, Yuzuku Yukari's text-to-speech voice was the narrator voice for the Minecraft community on Nico Nico, so that says a lot, you know? In this case, I'll be going over Vocaloids who I notice online people never talk about, or ones I haven't seen acknowledged in literal years. So, let's get started. PaulUTA. I started off with one of the newer Vocaloid 6 voice banks, and because he's not as popular as other Vocaloids in this video. It helps that Circus P and his voice provider made bomb-ass songs with him, you know? PaulUTA is a Vocaloid of famous musician Porter Robinson who has always had a big hand in the Vocaloid community. Songs like Sad Machine and Goodbye to a World by him feature the Vocaloid Ivana, so he's pretty experienced with the community. So I'd imagine he was probably really excited when Yamaha likely approached him for a Vocaloid. However, unlike many voice banks that are a direct translation of their voice provider, like Kaito is Naoto Fuga singing as naturally as possible, or Miku's voice is actually Saki Fujita singing in her very rare higher range. PaulUTA naturally has a higher auto-tune voice meant for songs in Porter Robinson's style or anything with a heavy electronic or EDM style to it. For this reason, it really threw a lot of people off, so not a lot of people buy or use PaulUTA for that very reason. However, as seen with Circus P's Right as Rain, he is capable of the lower ranges, and Vocaloid 6 recently released gender manipulation, so I'm pretty sure it's totally possible for him to sound a bit lower to people who feel weird about his higher range. To me, I still think that makes him sound cute and unique, but I get that being such a specific voice bank throws people off. Still, I really like him. His design is my favorite part. He just looks so sweet and shy and just has a little bit of a modern style to him. I don't know, I just really love this design and I hope he becomes more popular. I can totally see PaulUTA working really well with producers like LiveTune, who pretty much make only heavily auto-tuned EDM songs. Tonio and Prima. A lot of people requested in my previous video that I put the operatic pair in a new video, so here they are. Tonio and Prima were a pair made by Zero G in an attempt to make opera in a vocal synthesizer. Tonio is a deep baritone operatic voice, while Prima is a much higher voice. And for that reason, their specific genre makes it hard for them to be popular as other Zero G voice banks like Ivana, Dex, and Dinah. However, in more recent years, I have noticed Tonio become just slightly more popular than Prima. I think that's because people figured out how to work with his voice and limitations. My biggest example would be Ryo Sota's cover of Phantom of the Opera with Eleanor Forte and Tonio, because holy fuck, he was made for musicals like that, that's for sure. I can totally see Tonio being the kind of Vocaloid people who work in musicals like Cats or Phantom of the Opera would use as like a demo or something. He just has this incredibly deep voice while also capable of a much higher range. Looking back, it's actually pretty impressive. Think of Tonio as the equivalent of Asterion in Synthesizer V, although I have to admit that Asterion is the best baritone vocal synthesizer ever made and the best male design in Synthesizer V, but that's just me. You know, Tonio just kind of laid out the groundwork for him. Prima, on the other hand, has been a lot more obscure compared to her male counterpart, and notably harder to work with. Her voice is so deep yet so high that people struggle to find a range outside of opera that works best for her. My best examples of Prima's full potential would be Crusher P's cover of Ave Maria, but people have shown that you can make Prima sing outside of her intended range. My best example of Prima singing outside of her range really well is Manager Dilemma by Marvin Valentin. It's an adorable song and I highly recommend it. Design-wise, another reason they're not as popular is because there's just quite a few different drastic designs for both of them. You see, their original design was just a man and a woman stock image meant to look sophisticated, so In Taiwan, they made their own designs, which is how we got Tonio as a unicorn man and Prima as a lolly for some reason. Then there's also the K-inspired fan art that makes her look like a lolly, so I don't know what people were on in the early 2010s for Prima and making her look just like really baby-faced and tiny, when nothing about her voice says that she would look anything like that, but I guess people couldn't accept designs that just weren't super cutesy moe anime, I guess. For me, I prefer designs for Prima that draw her in a bun with a beautiful black or maroon evening gown because I think those designs just look so pretty. Tonio, I definitely prefer him as the man on his box, you know, with some facial hair and a classy suit. Just makes him look so sophisticated, you know? Maybe someday an opera musical is gonna come around and blow these two up in popularity. You never know. Tonerion. Talk about the weirdest redesign for a Vocaloid, like, ever. Okay, so Tonerion was released in December 2011, and the idea behind her was that she was a virtual singer from 100 years in the future who traveled back in time to see and hang out with idols in 2011. It's a cute idea, but I think we all can agree this messy-ass design didn't help at all. Voice-wise, she's really cute though. She sounds really nasally and soft. Think of her voice like if Rana had like a whisper voice bank or something. It makes her sound very soft and perfect for cutesy idol or pop songs. However, I think the main reason she's never been popular is due to her release date and her messy design. She was released the same month as Oliver and Yuzuku Yukari, two decently popular voice banks, and Gumi V3 released just a few months prior, so she's kind of just stuck in an unfortunate casualty in the major oversaturation of Vocaloid 3 voice banks. Now, normally I would just leave it at that, you know, talk about some songs that show her potential and feel sad about it, but to everyone's shock, Tonerion received a Vocaloid 4 voice bank alongside a new voice bank named Yumemi Nemu. In February 2017, Tonerion would basically get a soft reboot of a design to be a lot smoother and easier for artists to work with than whatever the hell this robot-made idol thing was. She doesn't look like the overly complicated 100 Years in the Future design anymore, but she does look way cuter. The artist for her V4 design was Yukiko Horiguchi. She's an artist for Kyoto Animation, so if the concept art looks like concept for a Kyoto Animation production, that's exactly why, and the same goes for Yumemi Nemu, who was done by the same artist. However, while her forced counterpart Yumemi Nemu received some popularity in the community, Tonerion was left behind in the dust for everyone to be confused by this drastic redesign and forget about her once again. I actually really like Tonerion's voice and I would love to have her someday, but I can see why she turns people away because she's very nasally as a voice bank and is tricky to work with from personal experience with nasally voice banks, but I think if done right she can sound really good. Her new design is also really cute and cozy. I know this is meant to be a futuristic, spacey design, but to me she just looks like an overly complicated snowboarder. Not sure why, but she gives me cutesy, sporty vibes, which I think matches her voice bank quite well. Some producers still work with her though, like Kikuo on one of his more recent albums, so maybe someday she'll be popular enough to get a renaissance, or Yamaha pulls the rug from under us and makes a surprise Vocaloid 6 voice bank for her with a new crazy design. I mean, you never know. Fuiro. This Vocaloid is actually a pretty new one, so it makes sense she's obscure, releasing only on May of 2023 to some kinda meh success. The main point of criticism reminds me of the ones made to Yohyoloid way back in the day, and that's that Fuiro is a really watered down voice bank when you compare her to the power of her voice provider. Her voice provider is a decently popular Vocaloid cover artist known as a Utaite. A particular cover by Odo by Giga P did really well in propelling her fame on Nico Nico, and from hearing her covers on her YouTube channel, she definitely has a damn powerful voice. I mean, she's not Ado or anything, but she's definitely got a powerful voice. If they had done Foido right, I think she could have been a genuinely impressive competitor to V-Flower, especially when now Flower has moved to the Chevio engine, so a really powerful voice like this is kind of necessary when the flagship one is gone and moved to a new engine that is technically more promising. I don't even think Foido is a bad Vocaloid either. I love her design as she feels very iconic and fresh, with her voice having the least engine noise out of all the Vocaloid 6 voice banks, which is saying a lot when, you know, Vocaloid 6 is rivaling Chevio and having awful engine noise. Another issue just comes from how gosh awful Vocaloid 6 voice banks handle any kind of pitch manipulation, so she ends up sounding really off and kind of broken. Then again, I don't have Foido, so I'm mostly taking this from listening to other people's covers as I write this. But hey, maybe someone watching this is someone who's cracked the code at working with Vocaloid 6 and will get Foido and maybe make some songs that blow her up in popularity. If not, I still like her, but I feel bad that she released to the quietest applause ever. With Foido, that'll be it for this video, guys. Let me know down below what you think. Were there any Vocaloids here that you think are more obscure? Are there any I missed? Feel free to check out my first video, as I said in the beginning, to get a full view of a bunch of obscure Vocaloids, and if there were any I missed, then maybe I can do another video. Who knows? Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!